All right, we officially have Gabbie Marshall reconnecting with Caitlin Clark, joining forces in Indianapolis. This is good news. Now all we gotta do is find a way to get rid of Stephanie White and get Kate Martin to Indiana as well. We gotta break this down. The Caitlin Clark, Gabbie Marshall reconnection is happening.
Watch this reaction closely. What might seem like simple, harmless news actually exposes something much deeper about the current state of the WNBA. Gabbie Marshall, Caitlin Clark's teammate from Iowa, who hasn't played professional basketball since April 2024, is making a move to Indianapolis. The timing here is anything but ordinary. The Indiana Fever enter the 2026 season with only 3 players under contract. Yes, 3. That's not a team. That's a full-blown roster emergency. And with looming CBA negotiations threatening to disrupt the season entirely, the Fever could be scrambling for replacement players. Suddenly, Gabbie Marshall relocating from Chapel Hill, North Carolina to Indianapolis starts to look a lot less like coincidence and a lot more like strategic timing.
Part of that. So now we have this. Caitlin Clark's Iowa teammate Gabbie Marshall announces move to Indiana. Now we know she has not been playing ball since Iowa. I think she moved to North Carolina or something after Iowa. Now headed to Indiana to reconnect with CC. Clark was forced to sit out as the Indiana Fever made an unexpected postseason run, pushing the loss.
Let's set the timeline straight because it's crucial. Gabbie Marshall wrapped up her college career in April 2024, sharing the spotlight with Caitlin Clark during that historic Iowa run that shattered viewership records. Right after, she stepped away from basketball, moved to North Carolina, and enrolled at UNC to pursue her master's degree, a smart, calculated move. For the past 8 months, she's been living in Chapel Hill, catching Fever games whenever possible, and quietly cheering on her friend from afar. Then, on Sunday, January 12th, 2025, her partner Spencer Turo revealed on Instagram that he had accepted a role as Director of Operations at ETS Performance Headquarters in Indianapolis. Not Charlotte, not Raleigh, but Indianapolis, the very city where Caitlin Clark suits up. All of a sudden, Gabbie is moving right back into Caitlin's world just as the WNBA teeters on the edge of its most serious labor crisis ever. Timing? Hardly a coincidence.
And here it says, following her Iowa career, Marshall went on to attend the University of North Carolina, earning her master's degree. Oh, she's smart. Oh, she's smart. So she went on to North Carolina to earn her master's. Marshall has remained supportive of Clark during her WNBA career, attending numerous Fever games to watch her good friend despite being in Chapel Hill. But on Sunday, Marshall's partner, Spencer Turo, announced...
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. J.R. Smith famously helped his brother Chris land a first spot on the New York Knicks back in 2013. Giannis Antetokounmpo did the same for his brother. Thus, with the Milwaukee Bucks, NBA stars have been using their influence to create opportunities for family and friends for decades. And let's be clear, it's not nepotism when the player in question is generating hundreds of millions in revenue for the team. Caitlin Clark isn't just any player, she shattered WNBA attendance records in 2024. As a rookie, she averaged 19.2 points and 8.4 assists per game. She fueled a 400% spike in Indiana Fever merchandise sales. The team went from playing in front of 4,000 fans to consistently filling 17,000-seat arenas. If any player has earned the right to bring in a former teammate for a base C chance at the league, it's Caitlin Clark. And Gabbie Marshall, she absolutely deserves the opportunity. In her final season at Iowa, she shot 38.7% from 3 and earned a reputation as one of the top perimeter defenders in FACES college basketball. She has the skill set to back up Clark's faith.
100% with the Indiana Fever, giving Gabbie Marshall a tryout, because at the end of the day, what else do we have here? Like, it ain't that many people under contract. Look, off the strength of CC, she should be able to get a tryout. You should at least have enough respect to do that. All right. J.R. Smith was able to get his brother on the team. Giannis Antetokounmpo got the Thanasis Antetokounmpo on the team. All right? Caitlin, at least give Gabbie a tryout now. I don't want to hear no excuses on why it can't happen.
But let's focus on what's really fueling all the speculation, the CBA situation. This is the elephant in the room that turns Gabbie Marshall's move from a simple coincidence into something that could be highly strategic. The WNBA Players Association and the league failed to finalize a deal by the January 31st deadline. Negotiations have now been extended by 6 weeks, moving the new deadline to #every-does, mid-March. Here's the catch. Training camps are scheduled to begin in April with the season set to tip off in May. Right now, there's still no collective bargaining agreement in place. That means if talks fall apart, the league could face 2 stark choices: cancel the season entirely or bring in replacement players. Replacement players. Let that sink in. In its 28-year history, the WNBA has never dealt with a lockout or strike, but today, we are. Closer to that scenario than ever before. If it comes to that, teams would have to fill rosters with players willing to cross the picket line or athletes who haven't yet joined the union.
There's a lot going on and a lot of conversation surrounding the new offer from the WNBA with the $1 million base salary, but they are not interested in continue to pay for housing for these players and certain things, that stipends and things like that they were giving before. They're basically saying, hey, we're upping the pay and now you can cover your own tabs for living and all of this other stuff. A lot of people are up in arms about it. Some people are saying take the money and do the deal. Let's get the season going. Let's hear what Alexa Philippou had to say about this on ESPN today.
About where things stand at the moment.
Yeah, George, well, there was a lot of meeting, a lot of back and forth over the last few weeks in hopes of...
Let's break down what's actually on the table in these CBA negotiations, because the numbers alone show why neither side is willing to budge. According to the league's latest proposal, reported on January 31st, the maximum guaranteed salary would hit $1 million. Factor in projected revenue sharing, and top players could see total earnings exceed $1.2 million. The league-wide average salary would surpass $500,000, and even the minimum pay would climb past $225,000. The salary cap would also take a massive leap from the current $1.5 million per team to $5 million per team, tied directly to annual revenue growth. On paper, this is transformative. To put it in perspective, today's maximum salary is $241,994. The average hovers around $100,000, and the minimum is $64,154. We're talking about a 400% increase for top earners and a 340% jump for minimum salaries. These aren't small raises, they're a total overhaul of how the WNBA compensates its players.
Neared, and I can report that, we saw a report a few weeks ago on the league's proposals to the players. I actually have some updated numbers I'd like to share you all of where the league's latest proposal stands. Right now, they are offering a deal with a salary for players at the maximum with a $1 million guaranteed base, projected revenue sharing, pushing those total earnings for maximum players to more than $1.2 million. Sources have told me just now. The average salary projection under this deal, the average salary across the board is projected to exceed $500,000. The minimum salary would be projected to exceed $225,000, sources tell me. And the salary cap would actually increase to $5 million a year, and sources say would be...
But this is where things get messy, and it's exactly why negotiations are hitting a wall. The PERS. League's proposal would eliminate several benefits that players currently rely on. No provided. Housing during the season. No maternity leave stipends. No guaranteed travel. Accommodations. The league's stance is simple. We're quadrupling your salaries. Now you can cover your own. Apartments and expenses like any other professional athlete. The player's position is just as clear. These aren't perks, they're necessities. WNBA salaries have been artificially capped for decades, and these support systems exist for a reason. You can't claim to offer historic raises while stripping away the very resources players need to. survive, especially when NBA players earning comparable revenue shares get both higher salaries and full benefits. And that's the heart of the conflict. The WNBA pulled in roughly $200 million in revenue in dry 2020. The players are asking for 50% of basketball-related income, matching the NBA split. The league reportedly counters with around 40%. That 10% gap might sound minor until you percent. Do the math. It represents $20 million per year. Over a 10-year CBA, that's $200 million going to players versus owners. This isn't a rounding error, it's the entire dispute in a nutshell.
For a little bit of a frame of reference, the salary cap for 2025 is around $1.5 million. So these are different numbers, updated numbers than we saw from about November 18th when that last deal came out. We don't quite know right now what the players do think of this, obviously. It was not enough to get to an agreement yesterday for a new CBA. So it will be very interesting to see. We know that revenue share and salary cap, a salary cap that was actually tied directly to revenue growth in the league was very important to them. It's right now, again, unknown what they think of this proposal. But the reason why both sides do want to have this 6-week kind of runway to try to come to agreement is that they really see this as an opportunity to have an urgency to actually get the deal done sooner than that. That was kind of an expectation in agreeing to this, and we'll see how much closer they can come as we get to the next 40 days or so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A deal has to get done before the
greatness is a journey.
A deal will have to get.
Now, let's tie this back to Gabbie Marshall and why her move is so significant. If the WNBA season gets delayed or even canceled because of CBA negotiations, the Indiana Fever are staring at a huge problem. They're supposed to be riding the wave of Caitlin Clark's popularity. After all, every home game in 2024 sold out. They've got corporate sponsors lined up, national TV deals scheduled, and yet only 3 players under contract. Caitlin Clark is one of them. The other 2, Lexi Hall and Katie Lou Sampson, are role players. Everyone else, including starter Aaliyah Boston, is either a free agent or has a team option that hasn't been picked up, and the Fever can't even exercise those options until a CBA is finalized because the salary cap is still unknown. So, if negotiations drag into March and threaten the April training camp, the Fever need a dash-in-force backup plan. Enter Gabbie Marshall, a player who knows Caitlin's game inside and out, can shoot, defend, and potentially step in at a pro level. And now she's living in Indiana, possibly available for a tryout. This isn't just a friendly favor, it's insurance.
You could keep pushing this thing 6 weeks. Like, I think a deal has to be done by January. I'm hoping they're able to get one done. A lot of people, it's a lot of differing opinions on the most recent offer from earlier today that was reported. A lot of people do not agree with them taking housing out of the deal. Some people do. And I just feel like, hey man, listen, if the league minimum is going to be $225,000, you can go get your own apartment. That's just kind of how I feel. I don't know, but I'm saying you get $1 million contract, you can go get your rent an apartment for however 4 months. Okay, it's not going to kill you. That's just how I feel. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. This is Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment.
Here's another piece of the puzzle that's getting overlooked. Kate Martin, the 3rd member of Cadogan Lee, that Iowa trio, is now with the Golden State Valkyries following the expansion draft. She's not coming to Indiana. That makes Gabbie Marshall the only realistic option to recreate the college-level chemistry that turned Iowa into must-watch television for 2 straight NCAA tournament runs. And in basketball, chemistry matters. This isn't just nostalgia. Caitlin Clark's assist numbers at Iowa weren't just luck, they were boosted by teammates who instinctively understood her passing angles, her court vision, her uncanny ability to deliver passes that seemed impossible until they landed perfectly in rhythm, relied on players who knew her game inside out. Gabbie Marshall shared 39 games on the court with Clark at Iowa. She knows when Caitlin will drive versus pull up, when to cut versus spot up. That kind of instinctive connection can't be taught in training camp. The Fever struggled with roster chemistry in 2024, even while making the playoffs. They started 1-8 before finally finding a rhythm. Constant lineup changes prevented them from settling on the right rotation. Adding a player who already has proven chemistry with your franchise, cornerstone isn't a minor boost. It could be the difference between a first-round playoff exit and a genuine championship contender. Now, let's tie this together and break down what it all means for the WNBA moving forward. First, Gabbie Marshall. Should the Indiana Fever give her a tryout? Absolutely, she earned it. She was part of the Iowa team that put women's college basketball on the map. The Iowa versus LSU championship game drew 12.3 million viewers, making it the most watched women's college basketball game in history. Gabbie was a starter, hitting crucial threes and defending sane. Angel Reese effectively. She isn't a random friend asking for a favor, she's a legitimate player who chose graduate school over professional basketball, and now circumstances may be pulling her back to the court. Would she make the roster in a normal year? Probably not. The WNBA has just 44 roster spots across 12 teams, and the talent level is elite. Many college stars end up riding the bench or getting cut. But these aren't normal circumstances. The Fever have only 3 players under contract, CBA negotiations threaten the season, and depth players who can contribute in practice or spot minutes are invaluable. Gabbie fits that profile perfectly. Second, the CBA negotiations. This is where things get complicated. Both sides have legitimate points, and neither can afford to blink. The league's position makes business sense. They're offering to quadruple salaries at a time, when the WNBA is still not consistently profitable. Yes, revenue is up. Yes, Caitlin Clark generated unprecedented interest in 2024. But 1 year of record ratings doesn't erase 28 years of financial losses. The WNBA is still subsidized by the NBA, offering max salaries of $1 million plus revenue sharing when most teams aren't profitable is a huge risk, and asking players earning the $25,000 minimum to pay for their own housing isn't unreasonable. That's more than what most Americans make in a year. A nice apartment in Indianapolis might run $3,000 a month over a 4-month season. That's $12,000, leaving $13,000 for everything else. That's not poverty. The player's position is morally strong. The WNBA has underpaid its athletes for decades, while using their labor to build a league now valued at over $1 billion. The 2023 valuation was $47 million. Expansion teams in San Francisco and Toronto sold for $50 million and $115 million, respectively. That growth didn't come from the owner's business skill, it came from the player's talent and decades of work building a fan base despite minimal marketing support. So when the league offers higher salaries but cuts housing and benefits, it feels like giving with one hand and taking with the other, especially when NBA players earning similar revenue percentages get both higher salaries and comprehensive benefits, including housing stipends, full health care, and guaranteed contracts. The real sticking point is the 50/50 revenue split. The players want what NBA athletes receive, while the league argues the WNBA isn't the NBA and can't yet support that split. Both sides are right. The WNBA isn't the NBA, but the players are the product, and they aren't replaceable. You can't swap out Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, or Caitlin Clark. Their talent is driving the league's growth, and they deserve to share in it proportionally. Then there's the replacement player scenario, the nuclear option nobody wants, but everyone has to consider if negotiations collapse. The WNBA faces 3 stark choices. 1. Cancel the season and lose hundreds of millions in revenue and momentum. 2. Agree to the players' full demands, risking a financially unsustainable precedent. 3. Use replacement players and potentially destroy relations with the union. None of these options are appealing. Canceling the 2025 season right after Caitlin Clark's record-breaking rookie year would be catastrophic. Momentum would vanish. Casual fans, drawn in by Clark, would drift away. Sponsors would pull back, and the new San Francisco and Toronto expansion teams would struggle to survive. Growth cannot survive a canceled season. Capitulating to the players' demands could also be risky. A 50/50 revenue split, maintaining all current benefits while quadrupling salaries, could push some teams into the red. Unlike the NBA, which has a $75 billion TV deal supporting even struggling franchises, the WNBA lacks that financial safety net. Its 2026 TV deal with ESPN, CBS, and Amazon is worth roughly $200 million annually, up from $60 million, but that's still insufficient to support NBA-level pay. Structures. Using replacement players would be disastrous. Look at the 1,987 NFL strike. The product was unwatchable, fans stayed away, and players who crossed the picket line were ostracized for 2 years. The WNBA doesn't have the NFL's cultural dominance to survive that kind of PR disaster. If stars like Aja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Caitlin Clark sit out while replacements try to fill arenas, it simply won't work. Fans come for the stars you can't fake. That. So, what's the path forward? Compromise. Both sides must give something meaningful. The league should move closer to a 50-over-50 revenue split, even if phased in over the life of the CBA. Start at 42% in year 1, 44% by year 3, 47% by year 6, with a commitment to revisit 50% if revenue benchmarks are met. This gives players a path to parity without bankrupting teams immediately. Players need to accept that some benefits may be reduced as salaries rise. NBA level pay can't coexist with college level treatment. Minimum salary players can handle their college rests, own housing, but maternity leave, healthcare, and travel standards must remain in place. These are basic professional standards, not luxuries. The salary cap must be tied directly to revenue growth. If revenue jumps 15% in a year, the cap increases by 15%. No more arbitrary caps letting owners pocket growth while prove-its player salaries remain flat. And finally, here's the unspoken truth. The WNBA currently needs Caitlin Clark more than Caitlin Clark needs the WNBA. She could sit out a season without losing endorsement money. Brands like Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, and Wilson aren't paying her for WNBA. Highlights they're paying her because she's a cultural phenomenon who transcends the dorm league.